And we welcome you to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, July 7th. I'm Gary Stevens. Glad you are with us on this Tuesday edition of the WHTC Talk of the Town program. Thanks to Peck McNichol taking care of things yesterday. And also want to thank Gil Gross for joining us yesterday on Friday, as we did not have Talk of the Town. And very nice thanks. Independence Day special from CBS News Radio. We will have a sliver of open line time for you around after 11 o'clock, after the 11 o'clock news block. But our first Tuesday of the month, we feel the zeal. We concentrate on the city of Zeeland, as we like to do on our first Tuesday of the month. We'll be joined a little after 10 with the Yard and Garden Hour, and the Master Gardener, Jan Musin from the Brine Seed in Zeeland will be joining us. Bottom of the hour, Patty Vandenberg, what's new around Holland. But our first half hour, we find out what's going on in Zeeland with the mayor of Zeeland on the other side of our Zoom connection. Kevin Klynstra joins us. Kevin, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town.
Good morning, Gary.
A very nice morning in Zeeland, or are you out and about this time?
I am in from the fine town of Minong, Wisconsin.
Ah, yes, the other side of the lake, which is fine. And part of me says I wish I was there, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. We appreciate you joining us. By the way, those of you listening, you can join us via the telephone at 395-1450, 395-1450, and you can be able to ask questions about the city of Zeeland with Mayor Kevin Klynstra. Kevin, first of all, splash pad's still down, right, because of the COVID-19 situation?
That's right, Gary. We decided that on a warm day, especially as warm as it's been, we get over 100 kids there. And to stay with the governor's orders of not going over 100, we decided to keep it closed for the time being.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to get it reopened soon, but unfortunately, as the governor would like to say, the disease is going to dictate what is open and what is not open. And with the spike in cases nationwide, Michigan's been very fortunate in that regard. It has not happened, but let's just say, yeah, we're keeping people alive, but we're paying a price for it, unfortunately, economically, not only with businesses, but also with the municipal governments as well. The revenues just are not coming in as would be under normal circumstances.
Right, that's right, Gary. And I feel bad for the young families that use the splash pad regularly, and we've been getting a lot of calls wondering when it will be open. It just again, we want to stay safe and keep our citizens safe as well. And ours is a little different than others, where it's fenced in areas, so people are kind of congregating and they're not spread out. So we just, like I said, we thought it would be best if we could just kept that closed and keep everybody safe.
Now the splash pad is closed, but off the top of your head, the other city parks, most notably, I'm thinking Heisinger Park especially, they're still open, although some of the things might be limited in terms of access.
Yes, the pickleball courts are open. The Timber Town is open. So yeah, those are open, but they do have hand sanitizers there for people to use, and they still have signs up to make sure that they do the social distancing. And it, I guess it's up to the parents at Timber Town to keep their kids safe and make sure that they are doing the social distancing.
395-1450. If you have a question about the city of Zeeland with Mayor Kevin Klynstra, I'll be happy to take it at 395-1450. Kevin, has the uptick in cases nationwide, again, not effective so much in Michigan in terms of the spike, has that changed maybe council's minds about maybe opening up some of the parts of the downtown area to outdoor dining and stuff like that? Or do you get a sense that, prudently, as long as it's done well, the outdoor dining could still work in the and outdoor shopping in the downtown area would still work?
Yeah, that's we at our, not this last Monday's meeting, but the meeting before that, we okayed it that we could close this main street down and for the open dining. And but talking to the restaurant owners, they weren't quite so sure if they wanted to do that, because for one, they don't have enough staff, and a lot of them don't have big enough kitchens to handle more people. So it's kind of, we would love to help them, but I'm sure we'll try it some night. We'll close her down and see what happens.
Now, let me touch upon a couple of things. Obviously, you being in Wisconsin, we're not in Zeeland proper for the city council meeting last night, but there was a couple of things on the agenda I want to touch base with you on. First of all, the master plan. It looks as if that's in place now, but talk about the importance of having a master plan. And in this day and age, Kevin, can we have a master plan that can be put together, or does it have to be somewhat of a document that is in flux that can be adjustable because of the fact right now we're in uncertain times?
Yeah, that's true, Gary. And a master plan is important for a city, that that's what we work off of. If a company comes into town and they want to open up a store or a factory, we look at that to see what that area is zoned, and to see if it will fit and what our master plan says, and then also the Zeeland vision plan. So those two plans are very important for us. That's what we look at when something new comes into town, or if somebody wants to expand, and so we look at that quite frequently.
Now, I'm going to throw you a curveball here, Kevin Klynstra, and I apologize if it's too much of a curveball, but you talked about the vision plan. What do you envision Zeeland looking like, say, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Do you even want to try to guess what the community might look like, or to see, or perhaps what you would like to see over the next at least 5 years in the city of Zeeland? What would you like to see this community look like?
Well, I would hope that we still have a vibrant downtown. I know this coronavirus has really affected our businesses, and some of them are hanging on, by their fingertips. But I hope that they pull through this, and that our downtown continues to prosper, and I hope our industry continues to prosper, and that we grow in that area. And we'll see when the new census comes through, and see what our population is doing. But I would imagine it will probably stay about the same. We do have an aging population, so I guess some of our planning will have to go with an aging population, and see what would fit in for the older folks for our town and for our city. So yeah, there's I have got a wish list of things I'd like to see. I'd like to see a hotel come into the downtown Zeeland. I would hope that someday that happens, and not a big one, but a small one, a boutique motel. And I just hope that our plans for second story living, apartments above stores, is I hope that keeps growing. It has probably doubled or probably tripled from what it was 20 years ago, and I hope that continues to grow too.
Let's spend a few moments imagining, or sort of imagineering, I think is a good way of putting this. I know one of the things when I first came on board here, Kevin, back in 2001, there was talk about possibly building a bypass for US 31, and having it follow up 120th Avenue. Part of that, of course, became reality with the M231 project, but that's still somewhat in the talking stages as well, and that might increase access into Zeeland, because right now yes, there's Business 196, but for the most part, if people want to get to Zeeland, they got to come off of I-196. Do you have a sense that perhaps the future of Zeeland was tied into maybe getting more access, people being able to get into Zeeland a little bit more, or maybe because there isn't as much access into Zeeland, it can maintain some of that small town charm and not be affected by a large influx of people so easily able to get into town?
Yeah, that's a fine balance. We love people to come into town, and we love new residents. But yeah, you don't want to, you don't want to lose that small town feel. We're not a Grand Rapids. We're not a Holland. We got kind of our own identity, and I would like to stay that way. I don't want to be a Grand Rapids, and I don't want to be a Holland. I like Zeeland the way it is, and we can always improve. But yeah, I'm not sure if the bypass would help us or not. It might hurt us that people would go east of us to get on the bypass and not come by Zeeland. So you never know. But I've been in favor of the bypass. I think it would be a good idea. But they've been doing some studying on that again. It's been brought up. So I guess if they're going to do it, they have to do it soon because the farmland is disappearing and there's more subdivision going up on that area where they would like to put it. So if they're going to do it, they'll have to do it soon and move fast.
Yeah, moving fast on that. The other thing too, and I think more than maybe it might be more amenable for a Zeeland situation, is perhaps improving the transportation that's already in place. Most notably, maybe establishing some train routes for commuter trains between GR and Holland that would include Zeeland, and maybe a stop in Zeeland as well that possibly could help in that regard instead of having maybe vehicular traffic increase, maybe by having more commuters between Grand Rapids and Holland, Zeeland would get some of the offload of that.
Yes, Gary. We've been talking about that, about the West Michigan Express. And but before I go any farther, though, Gary, my iPad's getting low on power. So if I lose you, just give me a call on my phone, okay? But anyway, yeah, the West Michigan Express was supposed to be started already, the bus service that they were going to do, but I think because of the COVID, that kind of got pushed back along with many other things. So I'm sure they're still meeting about it. I just haven't heard much about it lately, but it was supposed to get started this summer.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
That would help a lot with commuters. It would hopefully cut down on the traffic and between Holland and Grand Rapids, and it's something we need. I think I know our MAC director, Tyler Kent. He lived in Valparaiso before, and they had the same thing going between Valparaiso and Chicago, and they had quite a few buses, and they were full every day, going between Chicago and Valparaiso. So I would envision something like that would be successful in Zeeland and Grand Rapids as well.
The reason why I'm bringing those points up, Kevin, is the fact that with how much Zeeland relies on a strong Herman Miller, on a strong Gentex, on a strong Mead Johnson with the plant there. If something happens, maybe to have something, the agility of the community of Zeeland to be able to have that opportunity of, hey, if something happens there, we can adjust and adjust on the fly. You know how Holland had to do its adjusting when the office furniture industry, when actually the furniture industry left Holland, and the office furniture industry sort of stepped up a little bit, and then having some changes as well.
Yeah, I know that was one of their big thing, was getting people into town when we were still going strong. They needed transportation. And there's a big influx of people that come from Grand Rapids every day into Zeeland. At one time, I thought it was around 32,000 cars that travel between Grand Rapids and Zeeland or Holland. And so yeah, it's a big thing. And if we can make that easier and get people there on a regular basis, that'd be fantastic, and cut down on the use of the roads and cut down on pollution.
We'll see what happens. Good morning. You're on the line with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra.
Hi, good morning to you both. I've always traveled 196, and when I get off there at Chicago Drive, obviously just before Chicago Drive, it says Holland, next 3 exits. I was wondering if they could do a little more advertising on Chicago Drive to let them know about Zeeland. You know, you go right past that town and you don't see a thing, or most people don't even know it exists. Is that a possibility to get more people to stop in the town before they get to the city of Holland? Just I'll hang up and wait for your response.
I appreciate the call. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah, you know, that's something we always talk about, is how to get the people to stop into Zeeland. And we did put the signs at the Chicago Drive on the business loop at the Main Street entrance, saying it was Zeeland, and it's a big brick wall type sign, so it's hard to miss. We've got on Chicago Drive by our sewer plant, again, we have a big sign on our waste tank that says Zeeland. Might not be the most appropriate place for it, but at least people know they're riding past Zeeland. And then again, on the west side of town by Captain Sunday, another big sign that says Zeeland, and again the north and south end as well. So we've tried to make it more visible and to get people to ride through, but you know, it's always a big thing. Another thing we've always said, we've got 11,000 people that come into town every day to work, and we would love to get at least a small percentage of those that come and shop in our downtown and use our restaurants. Another thing we look at quite regularly, actually.
Yeah, and MDOT does have, Zeeland next 2 exits put up as well. So there is some, yes, I can understand the caller's concern that maybe more visibility for the town, but it's one thing to say Zeeland ahead, Zeeland ahead. It's another thing to have things to people want to stop in Zeeland, and the Field of Zeal program and on some of the things that have gone on as well has certainly been an attraction as well.
You could always follow the plume of the power plant, and then you know you're by Zeeland. You can follow that, see that all the way from Hudsonville. So.
Yeah, indeed. Good morning. You're on the line with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra.
I would like to ask the mayor if he can tell me if the library is open, like for the Wi-Fi internet.
Kevin?
Yes, the library has gone to allowing people inside, and the internet is available also. So
it sounds good.
Thank you very much. And I also want to tell you, I am an older woman, and I became a Zeeland resident about 38 years ago. And the amazing thing is, I was the only one that ever moved from Holland to Zeeland in my family. And you never think you're going to become a Zealander. But you know what? It's the best move I ever made in my life. I just love it. The people are great. I feel like I live in a little storybook town. And I know we've gotten a lot larger, but it's amazing. I've had 2 young nieces who are getting married or have gotten married, one of them. And they both have bought homes in Zeeland, and I always kid them. I always say, just because I keep telling you how wonderful it is doesn't mean you don't have to follow me, But they love it too. So, yeah, I feel Zeal too.
Sounds good there.
I appreciate those kind words. That's the best advertisement we can get is through word of mouth.
I'll tell you, it is a big secret, but those of us who live here a while, we get to know what it's really like. And I never dreamed I would ever move to Zeeland either. I grew up in Holland, and I just loved it. But, I know God put me right where I am, because now that I'm older, I have wonderful neighbors. I have, the people at the gas stations and the stores, and I don't know, everybody I've come in contact has been just wonderful. And when I ride through that town, I just love it. I just think it's great. So,
well, thanks a lot. So,
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. No, the check's not in the mail for that endorsement of Zeeland.
Yeah, she should become part of our Chamber of Commerce.
Sounds good. There is one other thing I wanted to touch upon from last night's meeting, body cams. Looks like it's going to be a part of what will be on Zeeland police officers' apparel soon.
Yes, that is something that our chief of police, Mr. Jungle, has been looking at for quite some time. And we finally found a couple companies that would be willing to service. And so, I think it'll be good. Like you said, times are changing, and it's always good to have things on record of what happens. And this will, I think, help our police department quite a bit. Probably take a little getting used to, with record storage and so forth. But I think it's a good move by them.
Yeah, and you mentioned this time these days where accountability needs to be so important to make sure that somebody doesn't come up with claims against a Zeeland officer that is not substantiated. It's better to have the official camera on than rely on maybe somebody's discretionary use of a smartphone camera, and that could be used either way.
And you see on the news, when anything ever happens, everybody has their phone out videotaping it. So I think it's a good idea that the police officers also have that they can show their side of the story.
Yeah. In this day and age, we certainly need that. He is Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra. And for more information, we'll put a link to the cityofzeeland.com official website on what's going on in Zeeland. Kevin, I know that we appreciate you spending some time of your time off away from the office to join us on WHTC Talk of the Town. We appreciate the monthly chats, finding out what's going on in Zeeland, and we look forward to having you join us again next month. Hopefully, all will go well, and we'll do this again next month.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra joining us on WHTC's Talk of the Town with our Feel the Zeal chat with the Zeeland Mayor.